Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So we are from group three for the course air and noise pollution. So today we are going to talk about our task about comparison of air ambient national quality that compare between Indonesian air quality standard and the USA one. But before we're going to talk about the parameters and the comparison itself, before that we're going to talk about what is the ambient air itself, right? So based on the government regulation that we all know is from our government regulation number 22 in the 2021 for the year. The definition of ambient air itself is the free air at the surface of the earth in the troposphere layer within the region jurisdiction of the Republic of Indonesia in require an effect on human health, curators, life, and other environmental elements. So that's the definition of ambient air itself that we're going to compare in this kind of test. And uh, again, we are going to talk about the air quality standard first. So the definition of air quality standard, we are take it based on the California Air Resource Board that tell that an air quality standard defined as the maximum amount of pollution average over a specific period of time that can be present in outdoor air without harming public health, and thus it's defined clean air. So it can tell as a maximum amount of pollutant that can be appears in the environmental itself. So we're going to see the difference between this kind two countries. So the first one, but before of that, because we know that the parameters between this the unit for this kind of parameters from these countries are different. Like Indonesia, they use micrograms per meter cubic, and for the USA, they are used based on the EPA or Environmental Protection Agency. They use can be ppm or ppb, and we can see the units are different. So we need to make it same in the very first place before we can compare that. And for the for the mechanism, how it can be convert will be delivered by Atsil. So Atsil will explain about the how it can be convert and stuff. So to Atsil, time is yours.
All right, thank you, Tiara. So as Tiara says, uh, because of the unit of parameters between Indonesian and United States are different. Not the all different, but maybe some parameter are different unit. Example, they use ppm or ppb unit. So we think we must same first the parameter. So we choose the microgram per meter cubic for the unit. So we must convert the ppm or ppb to microgram per meter cubic units. So for the table for the value level, we use the conversion factors that we find on internet. So the conversion factor says that 1 ppb for the SO2 is 2.62 microgram per meter cubic. So because it's in the ppb, so we must convert the ppm to the ppb first. So we get the ppb, then we calculation to the factors conversion. So the next is O3 is 1 ppb, same with 1.96 microgram per meter cubic. And then the nitrogen dioxide is 1 ppb, same with 1.88 microgram per meter cubic. And then carbon monoxide, 1 ppb is 1.15 microgram per meter cubic. So maybe there is a difference between the conversion factors, but I think the difference not so far. But in this case, we find these factors for the convert unit from the ppm or ppb to microgram per meter cubic. So because the parameter or the unit already same, so we can now compare the parameter between Indonesian and the USA because the unit are same. But the problem uh, the next problem is the effort time. So the effort time also different between Indonesian and United States. It's we can see in the EPA regulation. But in this case, we see in the table, we just compare the same effort time. So for the not same effort time, we don't compare that because there is a different case. So the first, we compare the parameter is sulfur dioxide, SO2. In effort time is 1 hours. So in Indonesia, the level is 150 microgram per meter cubic, but in the USA, the level is 196.5 microgram per meter cubic. So we see that from the data, the Indonesia more thicker than USA. There is some factors that the regulation must do that. So the second is carbon monoxide or CO. The carbon monoxide have two effort time. One is 1 hours and second is 8 hours. For 1 hours in Indonesia, we the level is the 10000 microgram per meter cubic. For the USA is 40250 microgram per meter cubic. And for 8 hour is in Indonesia is 4000 microgram per meter cubic, and for the United States is 1035 microgram per meter cubic. So for this data for the carbon monoxide, we can say this that maybe USA are more stricter than the Indonesian regulation. Then the third is nitrogen dioxide or NO2. Uh, Also have two effort time, 1 hours and 1 year. For 1 hours in Indonesia, the level is 200 microgram per meter cubic. For the United States is 118 microgram per meter cubic. And for 1 year effort time is like 1550 microgram per meter cubic, and for the USA is 99.64 microgram per meter cubic. So we see that difference between 1 hours and 1 year in the comparison parameter. Uh, in 1 hour, we see that United States have more stricter parameters, but in 1 year, we see that Indonesia maybe have stricter parameters. And next will be explained by Tiara.
Okay, thank you. So the next one, for number four, we have parameter the ozone for O3. So here the comparison between Indonesia and United States for the first one. So the like Axel mentioned before, we need to see the parameter based on the same averaging time. So for here, for the ozone, we have the same 8 hour here for the levels. So as we can see in the slide that Indonesia have levels is about 100 microgram per meter cubic, and compared to USA have like more than it's which is 137.7 microgram per meter cubic, and we can see that Indonesia have this thicker one, and next, compared to in the parameter, which is EM 2.5, there is two averaging time here, which is the 24 hours and 1 years. For the 24 hours, we can see that the level that Indonesia contain or have is about 55 micrograms per meter cubic, and USA have 35 microgram per meter cubic. And for the 1 years of for the parameter still parameter PM 2.5 it has for the Indonesian is have level 15 microgram per meter cubic, and for USA it have 12 um, microgram per meter cubic. So we can see both of them that the USA one have the smaller kind of levels parameters that compared to the Indonesian one. So they have the thicker one here. And for the last one that has the same parameter that can be compared to, it PM10. And for the averaging time, that same for the both of country based on the government regulation and EPA is 24 hours. So for the kilometers level for PM10 for the Indonesian itself, it's 75 microgram per meter cubic, and for the USA, it's 150 microgram per meter cubic. So based on these six kind of parameters, we can see from the comparison of ambient quality standard value from the table that we can see here, the six parameter, we can conclude that most of the parameters shows that Indonesia have the strictest kind of air quality standard compared to America. Not all, but most of, like sulfur dioxide. Indonesia have the smaller kind of level standard, and we can see like the definition of air quality itself, like the maximum pollutant that can be appear. So the smaller it can have the standard, it's mean the stricter that it need to be. So we can see for the value of the level in the table, we can see like sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and then nitrogen dioxide, ozone, and PM10. Indonesia have the smaller number of levels, so it's mean that Indonesia have the stricter kind of air quality standard compared to USA. But for PM 2.5, we can see that the American have the smaller number, which is it mean that the USA itself have the stricter for the PM 2.5 air quality standard itself. So, and based on this kind of conclusion, we believe that it's because the air pollution levels in Indonesia are higher than those in the United States. That's why the air quality standard in Indonesia need to be air quality standard in Indonesia need to be stricter and then to compare to the American based on the the status quo that happens to reduce the air pollution that level that appears in the both of the country itself. So
Maybe I want to add something from the Tiara. So we see that the difference between parameter Indonesia and United States. This is maybe cause or the cause maybe from the atmosphere, the topographic for the country, because the country have different topographic, different atmosphere, and different population. So I think the uh, government need uh, to see the factors, the population, the atmosphere, the topographical factors, because this is the important factor for the air pollution. Because atmosphere is the media or the dispersion media for the air pollution. So this is have to mention, uh, have to view before we make the regulation. So I think that is because of the difference between Indonesia uh, and United States parameters. So back to Tiara.
okay, so that's the explanation for our task today. Thank you, Jen. I hope it can be uh, useful or knowledgeable. So that's all from us. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.